Hey, everybody out there. Hope you're doing great. Despite whatever challenges we find ourselves facing these days, as I like to often talk about living positively, being proactive, living consciously, and not allowing the distractions, the noise out there to ruin our presence in this world and the light that we seek to not only receive that surrounds us, the infinite potential that exists, but the light that we also seek to emanate, the light we seek to put out there, to share with others, like a dandelion. You know, that flower that kind of falls apart, and those little pieces from that flower that go out into the air and travel around. So to our light, we seek to share our light, and we seek to bring light. We seek to bring light into our world, especially when we sense, and we all know it needs it most. There's this quote I want to share with you here on this episode, and I heard it the other day on some Instagram reel, and it reminded me of it because we've often heard it, and when we hear it, we often nod and smile, and then we, for the most part, move on. It's the quote goes like this: "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift." So it's a great quote. And it's often an older person who was saying it. In this reel that I watched, it was an older gentleman who said he was 101, and I think he was sharing it with his granddaughter. And it was very emotional and moving. And of course, it stopped me and had me think about that. You know, yesterday is history. Whatever happened, happened. Tomorrow, who knows? Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. And what are you going to do with that gift? Because I think it is pointing at an ancient understanding of things, part of Jewish tradition, part of humanity perhaps, which we've been teaching about for thousands of years. And it starts with Genesis, starts with the beginning. It starts with Bereshit. So if today's a gift, then what do we do with that gift? When the Bible, the Torah, begins its account of creation, Bereshit, the very first act that the Creator, God, the universe, creates is not the sun or the moon or the stars for that matter. That comes later. The first thing God creates is light. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vehaya or. Right? God says, let there be light, and there was light. The Hebrew word for or carries this sort of sense of illumination. In Hebrew, a sense of perhaps clarity or something that reveals rather than conceals. The Zohar, the text on Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah, is the foundational text. It notes something remarkable about this line, that the sun and the moon are not created until the fourth day. So what was the primordial light on day one? Where did that come from? And the sages, the rabbis of blessed memory, they share that it was an entirely different light. It was an Ohr HaGanuz. It was the hidden light. A divine luminescence so powerful, so pure, that God, the creator of the universe, chose to conceal it from us and store it away. The Talmud, the rabbinic text, the legal sort of tractates of the discussions and arguments and debates that take place, teaches that this light, if left unchecked, would have allowed the wicked, the evil inclination, those among us, to see everything, to see all that is good. And so God hid it for the righteous in the world to come, for those that are able to identify, reveal that light, to go on and do that, rather than those who have that evil inclination, the wicked, if you will, receive that sort of level of ascension and revelation, revealing that light. But the question I want to sit with you all for a moment is, if God hid that light, then where did it go? And the answer our tradition offers is as intimate as it is mind-blowing or staggering, is that it went inside of us. That hidden light exists within each and every one of us. which is an interesting concept, maybe even fascinating to think of. That it is within each of us the divine light of God, and God did create humanity in God's image, right? When God creates the human being in the second chapter of the book of Bereshit, of Genesis, the act of creation is described differently from everything else. The text doesn't say that God spoke, let there be human, and humanity appeared. Rather, it says, Vayipach be'apav nishmat chayim. God breathed into the nostrils the breath of life. God breathed God's breath, God's exhale, created life, became our inhale. Our inhale is God's exhale, that sort of relationship, which is fascinating within itself. Something to meditate on. God's exhale is our inhale. Our exhale is God's inhale. And the word for soul, the breathing of life into the soul, is Neshama in Hebrew. The rabbis talk about this term, Neshama, and that it shares its root with Neshima. Neshama is soul. Neshima, the same root word, is breath. But it's not just any breath, it's God's breath. It's the exhale of God, as we just talked about, transmitting directly, intimately into the human being to this very day. In the book of Proverbs, Mishli, it says it like this: Ner Adonai nishmat Adam. The candle of God is the soul of the human being. A candle of God. It's not the reflection of divine light. It's not a photocopy of something greater. It's a candle. It's an active source of illumination that is placed inside each and every one of us by God, by our Creator Hashem, who spoke light into existence and breathed light into our souls. It's not a metaphor, but rather the deepest kind of a metaphor. It's the kind that is believable. It's not just a fact, it's not just something that we talk about, but it's something that if we meditated on, if we were truly living consciously and open to the universe around us, something that we can make sense of. Every human being carries a divine light, a spark from the universe. And the question that our tradition asks us in every generation is, what are we to do with it? What do we do with that divine light that's been given to us? So I want to talk a bit about what that means in distinction to the rest of the other episodes in this podcast, because there is a difference between light that exists and light that is turned on. A candle that is sitting in a drawer is just a candle. Its wax is real, its wick is real, and its potential for light is entirely intact, but it gives off no warmth and it illuminates nothing. There is no light coming out of it, but it exists. No one is navigated by it. No one is inspired by it. Nothing actually takes place when it is not lit. The Musar tradition, which is the sort of school of thought of ethical and spiritual development, Musar, it talks about this as well, somewhat ambiguously. It talks about passive virtue not being virtue. Potential holiness that has never become actual holiness, is not holiness. It just exists. It's not real. It doesn't live to its potential. It doesn't feed off or share anything. Rabbi Moses Chaim Luzzatto, who is provides this foundational text, it's called Mesilat Yesharim. Mesilat Yesharim, which is this the track, if you will, like a train track, the tracks of the straight, of those who walk in the straight line, teaches that the human being must actively cultivate the divine light within. We must actively pursue and work on sparking our light, sharing our light, and not waiting passively for it to shine on its own. And that, my friends, is the realm of hope that I often talk about in these episodes. It's exactly the distinction that we must hold on to and make a point, a reference of, the passivity versus the active agency of making light or bringing light into our lives and into our world, for that matter. The hope that sustained Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, throughout 2,000 years of exile and persecution, all that we've kind of faced, is that light that we have kept lit. It was the light that Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, kept lit inside of them, an active choice, a decision that was made consciously to turn it on, to leave it on, and to direct it outwardly and share it with everyone else around us. In the Talmud of Tractate Shabbat, it makes a legal point that one may not willfully extinguish a flame on Shabbat. It's a prohibition to extinguish a flame, a candle, for example. But the rabbis extend that logic and say you are not permitted to extinguish the flame that God placed inside of you. You can't obviously extinguish a flame, it's a prohibition, but they also say spiritually, the light that is lit inside of you, you cannot distinguish it, not through despair, not through indifference, not through exhaustion of living in a difficult world. We have no choice. There is no excuse. We were given a light. We were given this gift, and we have an obligation to keep it going. The divine light is not a distant place. It's not waiting for better circumstances or a more convenient time. It's inside of us, always. And it was placed here inside of us, inside each and every one of us, before we even had the words to describe it. We were born with it. That is our Neshama. That is our soul that is brought to life with the Neshama, the breath of God, of the eternal, of our Creator, of the universe. You name it. It's all the same. And the question our tradition has always asked is, what I shared with you earlier before is, what do we do with this gift, with this light? And by extension, what kind of ancestors will we be? What will our future say about us in this time period, given the situation that we find ourselves in? We stand at a historical intersection with important decisions that need to be made. We will be the ones who kept the light going. We will be the ones who decided, who chose to keep our light flaring, growing, sharing it with others, because now is the time, more than ever, to spread that light. Sending everyone love and light from Israel. And remember, Am Yisrael Chai, it's not just a slogan, it is a way of life. Until next time, everyone, stay anchored.